Excuse me. As you know, I'm your host, Jay, also known as Coach Jay. And like I always say, I bring the best talent to my platform. And today I have no stranger to this guest, phenomenal bodybuilder. And we all know who he is, but let's let him introduce himself. Here you go, sir.
Hi everyone, my name is Jason Ono, IFBB Pro Bodybuilder out of Las Vegas.
All right, man. So last time we spoke,
Mhm.
we kind of touched a nerve or two.
Mhm.
And I apologize to you off the screen, off camera, and on camera. But you was talking about bodybuilding and how you grew up and how it played a factor in it. If bodybuilding didn't play a factor in it,
Mhm.
where do you think you would be?
Oh geez.
If I'm
I
okay with that question.
yeah, no, I probably would have been still at my old career back in Hawaii, working as like an electrician,
Hmm.
which again, something my parents always wanted for me. They wanted me to have a secure job and everything. But I left that security to follow my passion.
Gotcha.
And I'll be honest, man, for the first like 10, 15 years, it's a big question mark. Is this all worth it? Even up until 2 years ago, is what I'm worth it? Like, is what I'm doing worth all this risk that I'm
Gotcha.
taking? And so it was huge to be able to see everything come to fruition finally.
You struggled for 15 years doing this.
Mhm.
This is not and bodybuilding, it takes a toll on you. It's a big commitment. What made you keep going? Because somebody would have quit. I'm not saying you're a quitter. I'm just saying
Yeah,
somebody else would have said, man, the heck with this. It's too much work.
right. I mean, there was a time where I focused a lot on work and I stopped going to the gym for maybe about 1 to 2 years. I only went to the gym like 3 times a month just because work got really busy. So once I had that big long break, I got back into the gym. Once COVID hit, I found a gym that was still open, and I kind of got the passion back. So what kind of kept me going through all these years of getting injuries and overcoming that is I just fell in love with the process. Um, I I have a lot of it to relate back to my time in bowling. So I grew up bowling. So I bowled for about over 20 years competitively. And
You
a
said
lot
bowling,
of,
right? Bowling?
yeah, bowling, yep.
Wow.
So I attribute a lot of what I learned from that sport into bodybuilding
And what would you attribute
because
that to?
so like when you're bowling, people don't think about your footsteps and your timing, your ball swing, your hand position. If literally your hand position is off here or there, that could mean either you're going to strike, you're going to leave a single pin, or you're going to gutter. That
Gotcha.
tiny little movement will have a big dictation of what your result would be. So I attribute that to how I feel the muscles now when I'm working out. If I have to
Gotcha.
adjust my elbows this way or up here, which position is going to give me the best results.
And that takes a lot of discipline.
Mhm.
Did that discipline, I mean, clearly is carried into your bodybuilding.
Mhm.
Circling back to you said, my family wanted me to be an electrician.
Yep.
And you didn't take that route.
Mhm.
And you're from a Samoan background.
Mhm.
And it's like the Latino background. They want you to get a 9 to 5. They think getting a job is the traditional sense. But you didn't do the norm.
Right.
First of all, before I go into my question, congratulations for not doing that. Excellent choice. It takes a lot of guts and glory, and it paid off. But
Thank
how
you.
did your family respond?
Um, they didn't think it was anything too serious or that I was kind of wasting my time like trying to compete. And after my first couple shows, I really, really fell in love with wanting to be on stage, and they kind of looked at it as like, okay, so when are you going to get a real job, kind of thing. And I was just trying to support myself through the years with different careers, and it led into being in the fitness industry. So it's like I don't think they really saw how happy it made me up until the last year to 2 years. And then finally accomplishing that feat of turning pro, they're like, okay, I think they kind of understand better now.
You say your family didn't see that. How how much happiness it brought to you when they finally embraced it. Say, hey, Jason, man, Jason, you did it. Jay, you did it. That's it. Proud of you, man. Look at you.
Mhm.
You're you're
Uh,
you're you're phenomenal on stage.
yeah, no, it was definitely huge. It was like finally getting acceptance from your parents, you know. And I
Mm.
think almost every child wants to hear that is
Yeah.
that they're proud of you.
Did and I hate to bring them back up again.
Mhm.
How did the boy in you react when your family embraced your passion?
You know, it was definitely a breath of fresh air because I definitely went through a lot of dark times for years where I felt like I was alone, you know, in the whole journey. Um,
Gotcha.
had some friends here and there sporadically, but they always come and go kind of thing. And, you know, my wife had a big part in making this all happen too, and some of my close friends, because after USA's, I didn't have money to do another show. So a few of my close friends all kind of chipped in to help me get to North Americans in Pittsburgh. And so without their help, I wouldn't even had the chance to go.
Wow. Wow. Jay, that's big.
Hmm.
That's big. Those are, to me, in my opinion, those are not friends. Those are family.
Hmm.
Because a friend of someone say, hey, good luck,
Yeah.
hope you
Right.
make it.
Yeah.
A family member opens that wallet and just says, hey, man, go for it.
Mhm.
You did bring up your wife right now.
Mhm.
You said she played a big factor in it.
Yeah.
She's in the fitness industry as well.
Mhm.
How much did she help you? But then, since y'all both in the fitness world,
Mhm.
y'all both, how much accountability do you hold each other to make sure, hey, you're still doing this, you're still doing that, to make sure you hit those markers you want to hit.
Mhm. She played a big factor in the sense of she knows what I've been through because she went through the same thing where like her ex-husband didn't want her to compete at all. Once
Okay.
she divorced, you know, she was able to compete and she just competed for years back to back to back to back. And so that's why she took this last year off because she just needed a break for mentally and physically. But as far as like getting support from her, it's it was easy in a sense of like we both understood what it's gonna take, and I definitely hold her very accountable on her end too for her what she's doing because my expectation is this. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I told her that if you want to be a pro, then you have to act like a pro 24/7. It just can't be this on and off switch that you're just gonna goof off and do whatever for 8 months, and then 4 months out of the year you're gonna be on it. You have to be on it the whole year if the goal is to turn pro.
You brought up a good point. You kind of you put the kind of like a Mamba mentality in her mind.
Exactly. I was thinking about Kobe. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I'm happy I can say that. And instead
Yeah.
of, because sometimes I say Mamba, people are like, huh? They look at me weird. So you kind of gave her that Mamba mentality, and now you
Absolutely.
guys hold each other to a standard.
Hmm.
How refreshing is that to have someone to say, "Hey, Jay, gotta hit the gym."
Oh, it's super refreshing because I've had exes in the past where they would complain, why am I always going to the gym? And it's like if you're complaining about someone's passion, then that's not the right person, you know?
Yeah.
They have to have your back no matter what. And with this, to have the understanding of, okay, I'm gonna be on prep or she's gonna be on prep, we have to have the understanding that there could be times where we are gonna be feeling more tired or grumpy or what whatever it is, and we have to be just empathetic and understanding to the other person's needs
Yes.
and what they need to succeed. You know, it can't be like poking the bear all the time and just to get a reaction out of them. So it's like helping each other meal prep, helping each other get things ready or take the dog out. You know, the small things end up being really big things at the end of the day.
No, you're right. Absolutely right. Now, I have to ask about cheat meals.
Mhm.
What's your favorite cheat meal?
I've always been either like sushi or Korean barbecue.
Okay. Who has more of who is more likely to have more cheat meals, you or your wife?
I think I, I think me because I'm able to have my body to allow that.
Mhm.
Like so, if I'm able to maintain a certain percentage of body fat, kind of a little bit of medium to low year round, I'm able to afford more cheat meals throughout the year.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about okay, go have whatever you want, she's gonna kick my butt.
Okay.
She has a huge sweet tooth, which I used to be, but not anymore. I feel like my stomach shrank a little bit.
You it's like you said, I put the we're circling back again to that. You said I put the Mamba mentality, and to be a pro is not 4 months out the year. It's not
Mhm.
from, I don't know, let's say August to September. It's 24/7, 365. How do you stay disciplined and making sure you are that professional and you keep that physique? Because I know it's easy to fall off the wagon, but it's
Mhm.
harder to keep that track going. How do you do that?
I think I've always kind of had that in me from a young age. Because I know with some people, even like when I work with clients, it's okay, they miss 4 cardio sessions, they miss 80% of the meals, like they're missing all these things that in the plan. I'm like, okay, you either want it or you don't. For me, it's when I'm in the gym, when things get really hard, and they do get really hard for sure, especially the last 6 weeks, you kind
Yeah.
of start to second guess yourself. Why am I doing this? This is miserable, or this hurts. I always bring it back to having that killer mentality of someone is always going to have better genetics than me. Someone is always going to be bigger than me or stronger than
Mm.
me, but I'm not going to let them outwork me. I'm going to put myself into the ground every single workout and knowing that I gave it my all, that I didn't lose because it wasn't of my effort.
You 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 brought something up interesting. You said, I always think, somebody has more genetics than me and I have to work harder. This kind of like what Kobe said, I wasn't the fastest runner, blah,
Mhm.
blah. Okay. How did you assess yourself? Because you seem very honest with yourself. Like you're very honest. Okay, this is where I make it. How did you assess yourself to make sure and hit your weak points to make your weakest point your strongest point?
Um, like for instance, right? I remember in the 4th grade, one of my classmates, one of the bullies that I had, he had abs in the 4th grade. I'm like, I have no abs. I didn't have abs until I was 20 something. And so I already knew that off the bat, genetically, I wasn't that gifted. I knew off the bat I wasn't strong as a lot of other people, even my brother, for instance. So from not ever lifting a weight, it took me about 6 years to bench 225.
Mm,
It took my younger brother 3 months.
wow.
So genetically, I'm just not there. So I already knew I had to push myself even harder than anyone else. So in fact, the first like a workout program or book that I ever got gifted when I was in high school was a book by Arthur Jones. Was talked about Casey Viator, Mike Menser, that heavy duty style training. That was the first book I ever read about training was heavy duty. It wasn't no weeder principles or whatever. It was off the bat just heavy, heavy, heavy. So I already
Okay.
had the mentality to really push myself in the gym.
You think that God put that book in your hand for a reason?
I think so, for sure.
Do you
Yeah.
do you sometimes reflect when you received
Mhm.
that book and say, "Wow, I would have never thought X amount of years later I'll be standing here and I'm a pro. I got my pro card."
Right. Yeah. And to this day, I'm still using some of those principles, just kind of tweaked a little bit.
Gotcha.
Because I've you see all the Flex magazines, Muscle and Fitness, Muscular Development, and it was always your typical, 4 by 12 or whatever. And when I talk to other pros now, they didn't do that back in the day. Whatever was in the magazines or videos, they actually did the opposite. So it's knowing that I went through this whole 5 or 6 years of following what was in the magazines when that wasn't really actually correct of what the pros actually do. So that was also another eye-opening experience for me to where I wanted to always start to learn more and more and more from different pros or professionals in the industry. And even to this day, I really like to learn from like a guy like Eric Seifert up in Toronto, super knowledgeable guy. He's some of that I know Ben Pakulski vouched for. And when he kind of talks about the cues that he uses in exercise, it just clicks. It makes sense
Gotcha.
because I'm still trying to progress without getting hurt, and that's my main thing. And the same for all my clients. I still want them to progress without getting hurt, even if they're whether they're in their 60s or in their 20s.
You you said something injuries
Mhm.
and clients, and I know that that's kind of like a slippery slope,
Right.
and it's something you try to prevent,
Mhm.
but eventually it's gonna happen.
Mhm.
Um, you more than likely probably get a client that's coming off an injury. What kind of advice would you give someone that's coming out of an injury? Let's say a shoulder injury, for an example, myself. I have a shoulder injury. What advice would you give me?
I'll try to figure out like what's causing the issue and why, and then try to get treatment first. So like last year was the first time I got dry needling done by Dr. Phil here in Vegas, and he did wonders. Where in one session, I was like, I'm here at a 7 out of 10 pain. After one session, I'm back here with like no pain.
Wow.
So that was also a huge eye-opening experience to where I learned about other recovery methods. So I was telling them, okay, figure out what's hurting you and why, what area specifically, and then get treated on that. Whether it's going to be dry needling, whether it's going to be body work. I have two body work people here in Vegas, one Tiffany and Noe, awesome people too. So I use all of my community, my tribe to help me to get to this pinnacle. And once you can kind of figure out, okay, what the issue is, then we can figure out, okay, what exercises can we implement that won't aggravate it.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of the key is making sure that going back to the whole mind muscle connection, don't worry about how much weight you're lifting. That will come in due time. It's just a matter of making sure you can move through the proper range of motion without feeling, oh, like I'm going to tear something.
Gotcha. Now,
Mhm.
I want to talk about the bodybuilding world. Who do you feel is one of the most underappreciated bodybuilders you see? I have my opinion, but I want to see about my opinion. And I'm not a professional like you, and clearly I'm not going to know everyone's name as great as you do. But I have one person in mind. Who do you feel is underappreciated?
I think currently who
Nope. I was just saying in general, past or present. It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
man. Um, as I definitely say Melvin Anthony, my
Okay.
posing coach. I think he had an insane physique, symmetry. He could pose, and the knowledge that he passed on to me, it's like super valuable. To where what he taught me, I'll see pros on stage now. I'm like, they're doing it wrong because of what he taught me and what I know now.
Gotcha.
So he's been pretty awesome. I know currently the Arnold Classic is going on today. My friend from Dubai,
Yeah.
Mo Fuda won the Chicago Pro like 2 years ago. He has an insane physique too, but I think he kind of gets overlooked sometimes.
Gotcha. No, I was gonna go with the past. Sorry, apologize for cutting you off. I was
Mhm.
gonna say Sean Ray.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he was
Insane physique. Yeah.
I am a big Sean Ray fan. I think he was very
Mhm.
underappreciated.
Yep. So that whole camp of Melvin Anthony, Sean Ray, from John Brown, I mean, all those
Yeah.
guys had that posing down, and they all were super symmetrical and just peeled out of their minds. And it was just unfortunately the whole Lee Haney to Dorian to Ronnie era kind of came by.
Yeah.
And I think to this day, Sean and Mel will probably be winning Olympics.
Yeah, I think well, that's a good point. I didn't think of that one. The very good point. I recently saw a video of Ronnie.
Mhm.
Oh, he looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
Um, do you think um maybe he competed a little too long?
I don't think so. I think maybe he could have adjusted his training style a little bit.
Okay.
Um, because I feel like, and I've heard this from other retired pros that kind of once you have that muscle, you don't have to just keep pounding with super heavy weight. you can back off a little bit, go lighter, and then just kind of focus on maybe slower repetitions or higher reps, and you're still going to maintain that muscle. So it's more about like the cartilage, the joints, and of course the spine. Like I mean, he was like squatting, free weight squatting, 800 pounds. I
Yeah.
mean, probably. I mean, now he probably would have been better off with like doing a belt squat or hack squats, things like that. After he kind of built his own foundation, of course.
Because I think Donovan Yates doesn't have that problem, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
He still looks phenomenal for his
Yeah,
age.
yeah.
He
Mhm.
was a little surprised. He didn't think I knew about that, huh? When I was a young man, I wanted to be a bodybuilder more than anything on earth.
Oh, nice.
But I didn't have the genetics for it. I learned quickly that it wasn't for me. But I tried. I tried.
Yeah. Heck yeah, that's awesome.
You know, but circling back to you, they say getting a pro card is very difficult.
Mhm.
And I recently interviewed a female bodybuilder, and she told me this in private. She said, Jay, everybody's pace is different.
Mhm.
She goes, I was lucky I got it in 2 years. Some
Mhm.
people it's 8 years and they still haven't got it. So everyone's pace is different. You know, if you could give advice to a pro bodybuilder that's trying to get their pro card but never really cracked the door, what advice would you give them?
Um, let's see. If someone's trying to get the pro card and they're right there,
But they really haven't cracked the door yet. They just,
yeah,
they're not really getting in.
I would probably have them reassess what really needs to be improved on. A,
Hmm.
a lot of times I always hear people saying like, "Oh, I was right there, I'm right there, right there," but their body never improves year to year. So like being honest with themselves and see, okay, what do you really need to bring up? Whether it's going to be your conditioning or more size or whatever it is,
Yeah.
figure that out first, have an honest conversation, and then be like, okay, is your coach able to help you with this? If not, you might need to go with someone else. Or it could even be a posing issue. If someone doesn't have a posing coach, maybe hire a posing coach, just have a second pair of eyes to see, okay, what can you do to bring out more of your strengths and hide your flaws? And I think some people aren't, for some reason, aren't willing to invest into themselves, which I think is crazy. It's like if you're that adamant of getting a pro card, I would do everything possible to get the right people in my corner.
Yeah.
So, like for instance, when we asked Mel to help me with my posing, we drove to Palm Springs, 4 o'clock in the morning, and drove back at like 3 o'clock.
Mm.
Like we were like my wife and I were willing to make that sacrifice to learn what we could to put myself in the best situation possible on stage. And I think some people aren't willing to do that for themselves, unfortunately.
I think that is true. Maybe it could be a fear,
Mhm.
maybe, an arrogance, like, "Oh, I don't
Mhm.
want to hear that." But
Right.
you said be honest with yourself.
Mhm.
And I remember you had mentioned to me that you competed one year, you went second place, and then you recompeted and you didn't hit second place. You went a little
Right.
lower.
Mhm.
Was that a realization for you? Was that a point when you was like, hey man, you looked in the mirror and said, we need to be honest. We need someone to tell us everything that we're going wrong.
That was almost a freaky accident because that year from 2024 to 2025, USA's where it took second to fifth. In 2025, I was about almost 10 pounds heavier
Hmm.
and in about the same or better conditioning up until 1 to 2 days before the show. So this is probably the biggest mistake I made. Second biggest mistake I made before competition. The night before the show, I could not sleep. Like no matter what I tried, I was just tossing and turning. So a friend gave me Xanax. Then I took some CBD THC gummies.
Oh shit.
Then I took a Benadryl just to fall asleep. And this was already about 1 o'clock in the morning. My prejudging started at 8 o'clock. So I woke up groggy. My body was holding water, and my cortisol was probably skyrocketed.
Uh,
And so I think that's why I didn't place as well as I should have, because for whatever reason, whether stress or cortisol that was going through my body, even though it was so weird because it doesn't feel like I'm like nervous or anxious, but my body feels it. And that was a super, super weird feeling for me. Like I want to experience that probably twice in my life. The other time was a year before another show.
Gotcha. But
So
you
that's
didn't do that process. You
mhm.
stuffed it up.
So that was something that was kind of messed up my entire prep for that show just because I couldn't sleep.
Gotcha,
And it
gotcha.
took all these things to make me fall asleep.
Jay, I'm gonna wrap this up now. I do want
Mhm.
to thank you for all your time. I appreciate you more than you know.
I
And you
appreciate you,
coming
brother.
back a third time. Third time, I want your wife with you. And I'm gonna
Okay.
do an interview.
Yeah.
Let her know.
Let's do it.
You're gonna
Okay.
get up and make fun of me. Just joking. I'm just joking. I don't want to get beat up. But Jay, man, I really appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming on again. And we'll
Yes,
talk
sir.
behind the scenes and set it up so we can have her jump on too.
Okay.